Hello everybody, Steve Ross here, Alternate Reality Channel. The topic of today is my type. Not just my type, but your type as well. Everybody has a type. That's somebody that you would look at and instantly recognize them as somebody you are physically attracted to. And everybody's types are different. For me, when I first got married, and for many years after that, my wife and I could go into a room with, 30, 50, 100 people, didn't matter. Within seconds, she can just go, that one. And she could point out which one out of everybody in there I was most attracted to because she knew my type. So I had a certain type. Another example of this is when I was in the Navy, I had a poster of Tonya Knight on my locker. Now, Tonya Knight was a fitness model, and the picture was of her with a G-string thong bikini and just a towel around her neck like this. Came in and saw the poster and was like, ew, she's nasty. And I thought, wow, this guy must have standards that are just through the roof if he thinks that she's nasty. She's a freaking model. And a couple months later, ship pulls in, his wife comes on board, and they're eating at the mess hall. And I walked past, and I was like, whoa. Because he was, at that time earlier, saying how nasty Tonya Knight was, talking about how beautiful his wife was and how sexy she was. And his wife was about 5 foot tall and about 300 and some pounds. So to him, I was blown away because to him, Tonya Knight, ew, his wife, awesome. To me, his wife, ew, Tonya Knight, awesome. Again, my whole point is there is a type of person for everybody out there. If you think that you are too short or too tall or too heavy or not in good enough shape, or you have freckles, or a lot of people don't like people with red hair, so if you think that you're not likable because of one of these things about you, I'm here to tell you there is somebody in the world that will look at you and say, holy crap, that person is awesome. That's a good thing to know. Problems arise where if you're in, let's say, a small town of 50,000 people or even 100,000 people, and let's say there's maybe one person in that town that thinks that you are their type, but that person is not your type, now we have a problem. My son, I was talking to him, and he said, well, he's got a problem with that girls don't like men who are short. He was about 5'6", 5'7", and he was saying how women want somebody 5'10", 6 foot tall and above, and so he was having a hard time finding a good girl. He had some casual encounters or whatever, but finding somebody suitable for him for a long run, he was having a hard time with. And I said, well, you're looking at it wrong. Go find a 5 foot tall girl. To her, you're going to be tall. And I think most women just want somebody that when they put on their high heels to look pretty, they're not going to be taller than that guy. It's very vain, but we're vain about stuff too. So he went out, and a couple months later, he found a 5 foot tall girl, fell in love, and now in a couple months, they're getting married. And so, again, my point, there is somebody that is going to see you and say, wow, that person is gorgeous or handsome. And everybody's got a different type. Now, should you try to take care of yourself and look as good as you can? Yes. One of the things that, and this just blows me away, I love it. Sorry for the coughing, I've got sarcoidosis. I've got a problem with my lungs. But I think it was Einstein who stated that if you look at an atom has a nucleus, and in the nucleus are protons and neutrons. And that's what makes up mass, the protons and neutrons. Inside the nucleus of the atom, other than protons and neutrons, there's nothing there. So our bodies made up of the atoms, most of this is nothing. And Einstein stated if you were to take the average human body and reduce it down to just what causes mass, you would be able to fit that on the head of a pin. That blows me away, that concept, because what that tells me is the reason why I look like this is not totally because of my atoms, because most of my atoms are nothing. The reason I look like this is because of my soul. Most of you have heard a recording. Most of you have heard a recording and thought, whose voice is that? And it turns out it was your voice. Someone says, oh, that's you. You left that message for me. Oh, that's not me. That's not my voice. How could you not even recognize your own voice? And the same thing with pictures. I'm sure some of you have done this. I've done it. Seen a picture and say, oh, who's that? Well, that's you. That's not me. Why does that picture look different than what I see when I look in the mirror? And the reason for that is because when you look in the mirror or you hear your own voice, your soul is part of what you're seeing or hearing from your point of view. When somebody else sees you or hears your voice, they are seeing your and hearing your soul as a part of that as well. So it's not all optics of what we look like on the outside, it's what's inside. And to me, the beauty of that is that I can become more attractive just by working on my soul and my personality. I can become more attractive. It's good to exercise and eat right and try to take care of ourselves, mostly for long-term benefits of good health, but also to attract more people. Because although there is a body type for everybody, I guarantee you there are less people who think that person that my Navy story, what that guy's wife, there are less people that look at that and say, oh yeah, she's my type, than there are that would look at Tonya Knight and say, oh yeah, she's my type. For me, I don't think I've ever dated a natural blonde. Not my type. I think one of the few blondes I've ever thought was attractive was Stevie Nicks. I used to have a saying, if she ain't Stevie Nicks, she ain't shit. But again, my whole point is there is somebody out there who thinks that you are gorgeous or you are hot or you are their type. Let's break it down to something else unseen. When I'm talking about below the belt stuff. A lot of guys, for example, there's an average size. And it's average because there's people that are larger than that and people smaller than that. And a lot of guys seem to think that they have a problem because they're smaller than that. And what they don't know is that there are women who have the same issue. There are women who have very tiny lady parts. Back in my dating days before I got married, I ran across several to quite a few females who had tiny lady parts. So it was impossible for us to do anything. And so no matter how much of my type she was on the visible exterior or even inside with her soul and personality, it wasn't going to work. And you can do some research if you want. Doctors who work on vajayjays have a lot of people come in, couples typically, because she's got tiny female parts and he doesn't have tiny male parts, and so mixing, breeding, having intercourse is impossible for them. So the doctor has to work on that and try to make it try to make her larger so he can fit. So don't think because you're below average that you can't get a girl. And also the old saying, oh, size doesn't matter. Well, most women are lying about that. And the reason is size matters if you have no skill. If you have skill, size doesn't matter. So my suggestion to the men who have an issue with that is not only, and you can't find out if a girl has tiny lady parts other than one way. You can't go up and ask her, hey, do you have tiny lady parts? I have tiny man parts. Do you have tiny lady parts? It's not going to work. You're probably going to get arrested. So anyway, what I'm saying is get some skills. Because if you've got skills, size doesn't matter. I joke around sometimes saying that, I'm a lesbian. And that's because I don't even need that to please a woman. I'm 52 years old. I've been around the block. I know what I'm doing. But that's not an issue. But the thing is, again, size matters if you have no skills. So all of you who are worried about that, get skills. Everybody, get skills. All right, so what we've covered is the basics about everybody's got a body type, a facial type, a hair color. Everybody's got their type. One of the things that defines my type now, and your type changes over time. Like after about the first 15 years of marriage, my wife and I would go into a place and she would go, that one. And she was wrong. And of course I would say, yeah. My type had changed. And, I wasn't going to tell her that. I don't know if it would have made a difference if I did or not. But everybody's type changes. And right now, my type, the number one thing for my type is you must be a good person. And that is number one, and that is huge. You must be a good person, or I'm not going to spend 1 minute of my time with you. So, and again, that's not even a physical thing. But I've learned through mistakes in my life that, to me, that is number one now. If you're a good person, that's groundwork. That's baseline. You've got to be that, or else I'm not even going to spend a minute of my time with you. You're not worth it. You're not a good person. So just work on yourself inside and out. Become a better person. Have confidence. Remember, there is somebody out there that you are their type. There is somebody, and get skills, but there is somebody out there that you are their type, and don't lose faith. Just keep looking. And again, if you like these videos, hopefully you learned something off of this that you've never heard before, or never considered before. Like, share, hit the bell, and subscribe. And again, if you're interested in the book, go to my website, www.thealternaterealitybook.com. And hopefully I'll see you again on the next video, next topic. Have a good day.